Okay, so if you're someone who tears up easily, during a movie, in the middle of a tough conversation, or just when things feel like a little too much, then this is for you. We're about to take a deep dive into the psychology of crying, and I promise, completely change the way you think about what those tears really mean. We've all heard some version of this our entire lives, right? It's this idea that's drilled into us. Tears are a sign of weakness, something you need to get over, to suppress, to fight back. But here's the thing. I want you to really think about that question. Because what modern psychology is telling us is that this old belief, well, it has it completely backward. Crying easily isn't some kind of flaw. It's a sign of a really deep human capacity, one that a lot of people, frankly, never fully tap into. To really understand why, we have to start with the actual science of our tears. And what it reveals is honestly a pretty fascinating fact about what it even means to be human. So that number one you see, that's the number of species on the entire planet that shed emotional tears. Just one. Us. Humans. No other animal cries because of a feeling. And that simple fact, it changes everything. Think about it. Nature literally designed us this way. So if you cry easily, it's not because you're weak or you're broken. It's because your emotional system is working exactly the way it was intended to. You're just using a feature that is uniquely human. So the big question is, why do some of us seem to use this feature more than others? Well, psychologists have pointed to three main reasons. Let's break them down. So, we're going to take a closer look at each of these three pillars: deeper emotional processing, having higher levels of empathy, and having a more responsive nervous system. First up, people who cry easily tend to process their feelings more deeply. The emotional centers in their brain, like the amygdala, are just more sensitive. What this means is they don't just feel emotions, they notice them faster and they experience them way more intensely. It's like having a heightened form of emotional awareness. Second is empathy. Yeah, research shows that if you cry easily, you probably have a lot more of it. You don't just see that someone is sad, you actually feel it with them. Your brain literally mirrors their feelings, like it's building a bridge right into their reality. That's why a sad scene in a movie can feel so incredibly personal. You're not just watching it, you're experiencing it. And third, a lot of it is just straight up biological. Some of us have a more active nervous system that triggers tears as a way to release tension. And this is your body's own genius at work. Crying isn't about losing control. It's your body's way of hitting a reset button to restore control, flushing out stress hormones and bringing you back into balance. Okay, so we know why it happens, but how does all of this translate into actual real-world strengths? Let's get into the hidden benefits of actually processing your emotions instead of just, stuffing them down. This really shows the massive difference. On the one hand, suppressing your emotions, bottling them up, that leads to chronic stress and it can really damage your relationships. But on the other hand, processing them, letting yourself feel and release, that actually builds resilience, strengthens your bonds with people, and develops much healthier coping skills over time. And because they process emotions instead of trying to run from them, people who cry easily often develop these incredible traits. They tend to be more authentic, they build deeper connections, they actually handle stress more effectively in the long run, and they become way more resilient. You might feel it more in the moment, but you cope better over your lifetime. So society might slap the label too sensitive on it and call it a weakness. But psychology tells a totally different story. It sees this trait as a form of emotional sophistication. Let's call it what it really is. It's a superpower. This all leads us to a concept you've probably heard of: emotional intelligence, or EQ. It's pretty simple. It's the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions, both your own and in other people. And it turns out it's one of the most important skills you can possibly have.
For decades, we were all obsessed with IQ as the ultimate sign of future success. But what research shows us now is that it's actually EQ that's one of the strongest predictors of a successful life, both in your career and your relationships. And if you cry easily, guess what? You've got a natural head start. You're already wired to recognize and understand emotion.
So let's be really clear about this. Your sensitivity isn't holding you back. It's the foundation for your greatest strengths. The ability to feel deeply and to connect with others deeply, those are the core qualities of incredible leaders, amazing creators, and genuine helpers. You feel what other people miss. Of course, we should add a little nuance here. Crying isn't always a sign of deep emotional processing. Sometimes your body is just responding to simple physical things. Things like being dehydrated or being totally overstimulated, simple stress, or just hormonal shifts. They can all make tears come more easily. And that doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're a person living inside a complex biological machine. It's all perfectly normal. So I want to leave you with this last thought. If you've ever wished you could just be tougher, I want you to consider this idea instead. Maybe the world has enough tough people. Maybe what it really desperately needs is your ability to feel, your empathy, and your open heart. So don't ever apologize for your tears. They are a sign that your humanity is